want you to engage in intimacy first, in the garden of your heart, and then I want to take you to the dance floor, because the whole thing of our scroll, an engagement with the DNA of God, is they're linked, and there's a connection there. And so as we go on the dance floor, we can engage with the DNA of God and the light of his presence, and then we can step into the realm of heaven, and we can go and follow that process through to get you authorized on those mountains. Is that all right? Okay. Well, if you close your eyes, and we're just gonna look at that first love gateway.
During our activation today, we are going to go to the Father, and we're going to have intimacy with him. We're going to worship him, and as we worship the Lord, the glory of God is going to become more apparent to us, and as we behold it, we're going to start to change from glory to glory. And so I want to encourage you, as we enter into the realm, make sure that you behold the glory of God, that you can see and experience and feel, touch, be aware of what is happening, because all of that is going to impact you. It's going to transform your soul, your mindset. You can perceive more and more from heaven. Now, once we did that, then we're going to go to the dance floor, where we're going to dance with the Lord. And as we dance, I want to encourage you, start to twirl, and the faster you twirl, the more the light and the glory of God is going to come upon you, and that's going to expedite that process of your DNA being transformed to the DNA of God. You can think about that dance floor almost like a little worm that goes into the cocoon, and then it heats up, and that worm changed into a butterfly. And so there's like a complete DNA transformation that actually happens. And so then the third place we're going to go to is the mountain of authority. So I want to kind of give you just a visual perspective of how this works. Okay, so that's the first steps. We're going to start with intimacy with the Father, then we're going to go into the dance floor, and then finally a mountain to rule from. So here's the throne of the Father, and the Father is sitting there on his throne. That's why I write a picture of a heart. And so as we worship before the Father, okay, so that's me, I'm worshiping before him, and as I am there, I want to make sure that I behold. I can even see the four faces of God. I can see his glory. I can smell the aroma around his presence. I can breathe in that fire, the light, the color, the creativity, and I can, with cardiokinesis, start to feel what God's heart is feeling. And so from there, we're going to go then to the dance floor, okay? And so, let me write here, dance floor, okay? And so in a dance floor, the idea is to start to twirl. And as you start to twirl, then the DNA, so let me just write here, DNA. My DNA gets drained, and his DNA gets placed inside of me. It's very similar to that Romans chapter 12 scripture where it says, present yourself as a living sacrifice. And then from the dance floor, we're going to go out there to our mountain, and that's the place that the Lord has given to us to rule from. Okay, so that's a crown, and I'm sitting on my mountain, and there I got my scroll. That's you know, the scroll. That's the mandates that the Lord has given to me. There's a scepter. There's a mantle. There's you know, a scroll is like the book roll. It's long term, and then you got mandates that take certain parts of that scroll to fulfill it. And when you sit on your throne, you actually sit in Jesus. Jesus is in you, and really you are united, yoked with him, honor his lordship, and you're obedient to his instructions to you. And so that's the place of authority that the Lord is giving to you. And so I wanted to draw this picture, the throne, and then the dance floor, and then the mountain, because that's kind of the pathway that we're going to go through into this activation. And so just even where you are right now, just start to engage and enter into the throne of God with the expectation for you to be completely transformed and to receive new power and authority to sit on your throne, on your mountain.
God is calling us to intimacy, and that call to intimacy continues even as He brings in the subsequent phases of the prophetic timetable that He showed me. It has to be our first priority. I know people struggle with intimacy with God because I struggled with it myself. When I became a Christian, I was about 12 years old, and I had no concept of God being Father because I didn't have a very good relationship with my earthly father. When I prayed, it was to Jesus or to the Lord. I never prayed to the Father because I was wounded by my own father, and therefore I protected my heart. We all need love and acceptance, and I sought that in relationships with other people, particularly girls, as most teenage boys would. And I found someone who I thought I loved, my first love, if you like. Then one afternoon, I got really seriously hurt by her. On the bus on the way home, I vowed that I would never be hurt like that again. I put a barrier around my heart which protected me from hurt and damage and kept everyone at arm's distance. It kept me safe, but also kept me locked up and in prison. I became a very mental person, using my intellect to package things up so I didn't have to deal with the emotions. I never really knew an intimate relationship with God or anybody else. So if Jesus was saying, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock," Revelations 3 verse 20, I really struggled to open it. Over the years, God met with me over various encounters, and He began to heal my heart. The first time I was in a small group of people worshiping when God spoke to me and said, "I am your Father." I struggled with the concept, as so many of us do because of our own fathers, but He broke through that and put His arms around me. I felt them, and I felt His presence, and it enabled me to begin to talk to Him and to communicate with Him as Father. Then I can remember when Hannah, our oldest daughter, was about 1.5 years old. One day she toddled up to me as I was sitting on the settee, looking into my eyes and said, "Daddy, I love you." It broke me apart. I didn't know how to receive it or respond to her. I was in tears, but it challenged me to deal with the things in my heart. Those things that had protected and guarded me had also locked me up so that I couldn't feel God's love. We have to overcome the obstacles in our life that will stop us from experiencing intimacy. If previous hurts and past experience cause us to protect ourselves, that will prevent us from fully entering into what God has for us. So when we find we are singing songs in our worship times about meeting God face to face and dancing with Him, being in intimate relationship with Him, that will be a struggle for us if we are feeling wounded. Now, I thought I had dealt with all my wounds, but one time I was in heaven talking to Jesus, and He said to me, "You have not met the Father." And I knew inside that it was true. "It is because you have a father wound," He explained. I was going to argue with Him, but there's not much point in arguing with God. Still, I said, "But I've forgiven everybody. I have forgiven my dad. I have had ministry, and I have met with Father before." I had, just not in heaven. And Jesus said, "You have a father wound." He showed me a picture of my heart, and it had a big scar all over it. He asked, "Will you let me heal it?" And I said, "Okay." So for about 40 minutes, the Father came to me and spoke to me, and He just said the same words over and over again. "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you." Each word He spoke healed my heart. I looked down and the scar was gone. I had such wonderful times of intimacy with my Father. It's what He wants with every one of His children.
I want you to engage in intimacy first, in the garden of your heart, and then I want to take you to the dance floor, because the whole thing of our scroll, an engagement with the DNA of God, is they're linked, and there's a connection there. And so as we go on the dance floor, we can engage with the DNA of God and the light of His presence, and then we can step into the realm of heaven, and we can go and follow that process through to get you authorized on those mountains. Is that right? Okay. Well, if you close your eyes, and we're just gonna look at that first love gateway. And that first love gateway, Jesus is behind that first love gateway, and He wants you to open the first love gateway and invite His presence to come. And his presence is his glory. And the glory of his presence will just fill you and surround you. Just feel the heat of that glory, the weight of that glory, the fire of that glory. And let the fire of the glory just engage with your heart. As you open your heart to him, just let the fire of the glory, as you walk with him into the garden of your heart, and I'd encourage you in the garden of your heart to feel like a little child, to feel that he's with you, feel the freedom, feel your garden expand and grow. Just feel his presence. And you can lie down in that garden, and as the Lord is your shepherd, he makes you lie down in green pastures beside quiet waters, and just lie in his presence, your head on his lap. Just feel that sense of intimacy. Feel that sense of peace and joy. Just let the garden begin to expand in your imagination, because your garden is so much bigger and contains so much more than you've yet discovered. In my garden, I have planted many trees, I have mountains, there's water and waterfalls, because those are places of intimacy for me. Just grow the secret place in the garden of your own heart, that place where you can draw near, that place where you are close, you share the vulnerable things of your heart, you can be totally honest and open with him there. Just think about how your garden is formed and begin to creatively release the growth of your garden. Now Jesus takes you by the hand and he leads you through the veil through the colors and the matrix of your heart onto the dance floor. Just begin to feel the light, the frequencies, the DNA of God as it entwines you out of eternity, as you're connected to his DNA, to the light which carries the record and the frequency of who he is. Just let the light dance around you. Let the colors and the frequency embrace you. Let the 9 strands intertwine with you. So just begin to feel the 3 strands that come from Jesus around you. The strand of the way, the strand of the truth, and the strand of the life. And as they touch you, revelation of the way, truth, life is planted within your DNA. It begins to trigger and transform your DNA. Just feel the strands of DNA from the Holy Spirit, righteousness, peace, and joy. Just feel them intertwine with you, imparting a deeper revelation of righteousness in your heart, who you are as the righteousness of God. Feel the peace touch every atom of your being. Feel the joy explode within your DNA. Now let the strands from the Father entwine around you, dance with you. Justice, judgment, and grace that come out of eternity. Touching you with the attributes of sonship that you need to rule. Justice, judgment, and grace. Let them be imparted into your DNA and begin to transform you. Connecting you to eternity, connecting you to the heavenly realms, connecting you to your destiny. Just let the fruit of the Spirit begin to flow around you. Love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Just sense his pleasure as the light reflecting from who he is touches you, engages you at a deep, deep level. And Jesus takes you by the hand and he leads you up into the open door in the realm of heaven. As you step into the realm of heaven, breathe in the atmosphere of heaven. Breathe in the glory of heaven. Just sense that place that you're coming home. Now Jesus takes you by the hand and he takes you to the record room where your scrolls are kept, and he walks you to your scroll and engages you with your destiny. Just let the scroll begin to be unfurled before you, and just sense what he wants to show you today of your eternal destiny. Let the longings of your heart, the desires of your heart, the drawings of your heart, connected to that DNA of God, to touch you and change you and transform you. Feel the mandate that you have to rule. The responsibility of lordship that's been invested within your scroll. Now Jesus takes you by the hand and takes you to the court of chancellors. You stand before the bench and you present your scroll. And the chancellors seal your mandate to rule. They authorize you with authority according to the scroll that you presented. And they seal it with the lion and the ox and the eagle. They endue you with authority to possess your mountain throne. Now Jesus takes you into the sphere of your kingdom authority, to your mountain. There, your angel is revealed to you as your advisor on kingdom protocol. Now you take your position with your mandate, and he places upon your head the crown of lordship. Feel the authority that it brings. He places on you the mantle of authority with the color that's linked to your destiny, and he gives you the scepter with the gemstone colored according to your destiny. Begin to look out from that sphere of authority and look for the 7 mountains that you are authorized to rule. Ask him for the revelation of those mountains, their names, their spheres, and begin to view them, see them, look out. Now he gives you weapons according to your destiny to use from your throne of authority, weapons of lordship. Receive those weapons. Now Jesus would take you to the throne room, and you come before the throne of God to cast your crowns before him, to lay down your scepter and your weapons before him in worship, in adoration, before the throne, before the elders, the 4 living creatures, the 7 spirits of God. Just cast your crowns before him. Feel the light of his countenance shining over you, smiling over you. And as you've cast your crown before him, he places 12 crowns upon your head. And releases you to rule on the 7 mountains with the crown of righteousness, the crown of peace, crown of grace. Just feel his pleasure as he invests you with the full authority you need to manifest heaven on earth through your life and around you, the King. Invest you with lordship. Now we can step back into this realm, carrying with us our authority, power, endued with revelation from the very nature of God. Our heart drawn afresh to follow the ancient pathways prepared for us into our destiny.